Our player tip of the podcast is don't be a dick.
dick.
Nice try, Ian. And you can avoid dickitude by taking a moment to learn about it. Limitless heroics. Dale, would you like to tell us about it?
Yeah, when planning a character with specific symptoms to get the most benefit, learn more about those real world symptoms, or even if playing fantasy symptoms, the real world symptoms they're based on. So look them up and recognize medical websites, Wikipedia, even better. Find people for whom those symptoms are part of their life. Ask them about their experience. Note this isn't always easy. It's part of life for a disabled person is explaining their symptoms ad nauseum to medical professionals, family members, friends, coworkers, and many more. And it's exhausting, right? But there's online communities like Reddit's Our Disability or Our Disabled Dungeons. There's subreddits dedicated to specific disabilities. There's websites dedicated to specific disabled communities. We also have the show Gaining Advantage that can help you. We have players that come on and talk about their experiences. And in fact, if anyone who is disabled, neurodivergent, or mentally ill would like to come on our show, hit me up and we'll put you on there. And we talk about how that plays itself out in a game and things like that. So basically, learn. This is part of the process, and the better that you the better you understand, the better you're going to be able to play that character. The better you're going to be able to avoid harmful representations. And it's also helpful if maybe it's not your character, but it's another character in the party. All right. One of the things that a lot of disabled people run into is people that don't know how to help them and don't actually stop and ask.
Absolutely.
So I hear this over and over. Blind people who are out and about, and someone all of a sudden grabs their arm and helps them across the street. It's like, how do you think that I got this far into town in the first place?
I'm blind, not helpless.
So, if you see someone that looks like they might need some help, ask, and maybe they do, maybe they don't. And, but the same thing goes with in your D&D game that, think about that, think about, from their perspective and things like that. And so, yeah, if you can find people, this is really great. If you want to play a character that represents or has symptoms similar to a family member or a friend, someone you care about, talk to them about it and say, here's what I'm thinking. What do you think about that? And but also recognize that sometimes it's like, oh, I'm tired of explaining this.
Yep.
and that's okay, and so don't push it.
And something I did want to mention during the main topic, but we ran out of time, but I can easily tie into this tip, which, some are topics that make sense, is I think it's important for you to know your players, know your DM, know your table. Because obviously everybody is going to have different opinions, different views, different attitudes, and regardless of whether they're disabled or not. Like, I could easily, or if somebody has a disability, I could see if you ignore it to the point where it comes across as you're kind of, for lack of a phrase, being a dick or lacking empathy. But if you take it too far to the other extreme, where you kind of become over accommodating, if you will, you kind of become condescending. You need to find that point in the middle. And that's not going to be the same for everybody.
And I think people do that most of the time and don't realize it.
So right. And
it's good to get input.
And I don't even think, even among the community with disabilities, as far as I can tell, not even they can agree with how you should treat everything. Like, I remember a post one time where somebody once dropped the joke about being bipolar. A second person jumped in and said, I'm bipolar, your statement offends me, only for the person who made a joke in the first place said, I'm also bipolar. Who are you to tell me I can't tell jokes about myself?
Sure.
Yeah. And I think that's true of
there's not
most
really a one-size-fits-all
situations.
answer. Hence why I went back to know your table, know your group.
Yep. And it's as simple as just asking too.
Yeah.
Hey,
and even something as simple as this was a big sort of controversy that I dealt with in writing this book. All right. Are you disabled people or people with disabilities? And we call identity first language or person first language. All right. And different people have different preferences on that. And so, so in the book and other places, I tend to kind of alternate, like not precisely. Sometimes just
Mhm.
one works better with the grammar of the sentence or something like that,
Mhm.
you know. Um, but
Mhm.
but you know, recognize that different people have different preferences um, on how their experience is described.
Right.
Right.
And so just, you know, be sensitive to that and recognize just as everyone's experience is different, then
Yeah.
how that works out, how they would like to be described or how, you know, they'd like you to understand that is going to be different.
Yep.
Like going or like
Perfect.
doubling down on the difference part, which I kind of touched on a moment too. Like I think we can also agree with as we establish how you should interact with some people. And once again, it's a different person. I remember a friend of mine once made a post saying how you should treat somebody who's autistic and how you can accommodate them. I didn't comment, but as I said before, I am on the spectrum. And when I read the list, my first reaction was, I would be offended if somebody treated me that way with half of the stuff on here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Everyone's
So,
that's
like
why
I
it's
said, I
important to
know
know
that
who
they
you're.
were well intentioned, but
Right. So,
yeah,
I think that'll do it for our player tip of the podcast.
don't be a
Don't
dick.
be a dick. And you can avoid dickitude by learning a little bit about it, whatever it is.
Yep.
Limitless heroics.